Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. It's time for communication skills in our continuing teaching on anger management and the journey to the other side of bitterness. Today is part 6 if you're keeping score on our communication skills. And last week we talked about cleaning up that channel, how important it was to clean up the channel and the responsibility of the sender and the receiver to be able to make sure the channel is clean and we're able to hear, and this is a good timing of where we could communicate. The receiver receives the message from the sender, and when they receive the message, it's a physical receiving of it. In the world of email, I got to look at my email box and I look, oh, there's a message from so and so. I hit the button and it pops up, and I look at the message. Maybe there's a file that I need to look at, a picture, and I click on the file and I read that message. But I have to receive it first. If I don't hit the button to really look at that email, I'll never receive that. So the verbal communication that you have with individuals, from the sender to the receiver, the person needs to listen to them. Hearing and listening are two different things. All right. There is a element of hearing that takes place. One of the things I love about my headsets, and I have people talk about my headsets, why do you wear headsets all the time? One, I have my microphone there that helps me with the volume, but it also blocks out the sound around about me. And also, when I'm communicating to somebody virtually, I do a lot of virtual teaching in the job that I have. When I have this virtual communication, my headsets help me to hear them on the other side a little better, especially since it's over the ears. So it's the way I receive it. I can listen better. My audio is better for me with this enclosed headset, the listening. It is said that the human ear can actually hear 450 to 500 words per minute, just randomly words coming in. The average person can speak 100 to 150, maybe more, words per minute. Okay? And depends on if you're from the north or the south. Okay? When I say this a lot, I talk about the southern and the northern way of talking. When I first moved to the south, I had people say, "Could you please repeat that just a little bit slower, please?" Because sometimes folks in the north talk a little faster than folks in the south, to our advantage or disadvantage. All right, and so sometimes some people talk faster than others. So when somebody talks real fast, sometimes we have to slow that down so we could process it. But it doesn't mean that our ears can't hear 450 to 500 words per minute. That's why the receiver needs to focus on the messenger. Remember I talked about the channel last week, and I talked about keeping the distractions down. You see, we can hear 450 to 500 words per minute, but it doesn't mean we can comprehend that. That's the difference between listening and hearing. All right? I can hear it with my physical ears, but to process it, I need to slow it down and think about it. One of my jobs that I do now is I train trainers, educators, and I do a lot of educating of how to communicate to how nurses and other clinicians can communicate the information to them. And I don't know how many times I have had to tell nurses, because nurses become so fast because they have to. They're used to working in a fast-paced environment all the time, and I have to say, when you're speaking, you need to slow down. You're not working on the floor anymore. Got to give time for people to process the information. Sometimes people talk too fast, and folks are not getting it all. So that's where timing is important, And that's where sometimes we have to slow people down. Have you ever told somebody, real excited, they're talking so fast, at times I've seen kids talking. I heard myself and I can't. Oh, slow down, Daddy can't hear you. I gotta be able to understand the words coming out of your mouth. I gotta understand. Slow down. Folks get so excited they talk fast, and the receiving of the message is flawed by our hearing. And as I find myself getting older, I need to slow things down for my hearing and for my understanding and processing. And different people process at different ways. And so if you think everybody can understand the talking of fast, you could be sadly mistaken. That's why timing is so important in communication. Sometimes it's important just to slow down so that people could process the information. So slow down a little bit so that people can receive it. Just because your ears can hear the words, your hearing is there, doesn't mean they're listening. So it's a responsibility of the receiver of the message sometimes to slow somebody down or help me understand what you're saying. Could you please repeat that just a little differently or a little slower, or clean the channel up like we talked about last week? But I'm having a hard time hearing that message, because if I can't hear it, then I can't listen to it. Hearing and listening are two different things. So keep that in mind when it comes to problems with communication skills. Are we receiving the message so we could actually listen to it and hear it both? All right. Hopefully it's helpful as we start talking about the different areas of communication. And next week we're going to talk about how the receiver can decode the message that's sent to them. See you next week.